A picture of Niclas Füllkrug sat sort of hunched, sat on the pitch with his head bowed, looking completely miserable, started doing the rounds before yesterday's victory against Manchester United. A lot was made of it, a lot of people saying he was unhappy at being dropped. I'm sure he was unhappy at being dropped, by the way. Ultimately, it looked to be a good decision by Potter because we won 2-0. And well, there was a few surprises to that starting lineup, as we discussed in yesterday's video. But that was certainly one of them, and it came off the back of Füllkrug giving this very public statement that he was at West Ham to stay, that he certainly didn't join a club at 32 years of age to further his career. He was here for the project. He was here for the long haul. And so, obviously, quite shortly after that, he then gets dropped from the team. But the picture started doing the rounds. Now, they say the camera never lies, and they say a picture tells 1,000 words. That's not true. Well, not all the time, anyway, because sometimes you just capture a moment that's not particularly relevant to what's... In fact, it happened to me about 2 weeks ago. We went down to the New Forest. We were having a very, very lovely day, and we went and had like a family photo taken, and I had a lovely day. I completely enjoyed the day, and right at the point the photo was taken, I wasn't concentrating on the photo because there was someone really struggling to park, and they were right next to my motor, and I'm in the picture doing that. Now, if you just sort of seen that picture, you'd think, oh my goodness, look at him. What's the matter with him? He's having a bad day. I wasn't. I just thought someone was going to scrape my car. They didn't, by the way, but it came close. My point is it could have just been a moment in time where Füllkrug was perfectly fine about yesterday and he was sat on the pitch and it was cool. However, whilst I wouldn't read an awful lot into the picture, the circumstance and the situation that Füllkrug finds himself in, I think is probably more concerning. We're still trying to learn about Graham Potter. We're still trying to read him and read what he's doing. After Füllkrug had his little outburst and his little rant, which was most welcome because he's a big German and he says what he wants, and we like that, and it's getting sung about all the time. And it was good, I think, as fans. We've known West Ham have been crap for a lot, well, pretty much quarter of a season. We've been absolutely terrible. So for a player to come out and say that he expects better from his teammates and maybe point out some of the things that we are seeing as fans, but maybe, the manager's not saying in the press conference, we appreciated it. We thought it was good. Almost immediately afterwards, it seemed like, he was dropped from the team for the next game. And Graham Potter said it was tactical. Obviously, a lot of us thought, no, he's just been dropped because he's being punished. I'm more inclined to believe it was tactical because when Potter was asked yesterday about Füllkrug not being in the starting lineup for yesterday's game, that wasn't the biggest story. There was so much going on with the lineup, the two players who we'd already announced that were leaving, had no future at the clubs in Vladimir Coufal and Aaron Cresswell starting. That was quite a big story. Guido Rodriguez was a massive story. Lucas Paqueta not starting was a big story. In many respects, the Füllkrug not being in the starting lineup was the least sensationalistic of all the stories. But Potter had said in his pre-match interview that it was tactical. That's why Füllkrug wasn't starting. It was tactical. I believe it is. So I've just finished recording player ratings with Gia, which was over on our Patreon channel, which, hopefully lots of people watched it on Patreon. If you're not a patron, by the way, you can still go and watch it. We've got a 7-day free trial. You can go and watch that now. 7-day free trial. Links in the description below, patreon.com/HammersChat. We do player ratings after every single game. And Gia was just saying, I just think this is how Potter's going to play away from home now. And what he means by this, it's basically like a 3-5-2. And it was really interesting listening to him say it because we won. And I'm really pleased we won against Manchester United. We all needed it as West Ham fans. But realistically, it's hard to say that the 3-5-2, the two ordinarily would be strikers. They're not. Whenever I think of a 3-5-2, I always think of it in, like Bobby Robson terms. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that it was, Gary Lineker and Peter Beardsley, very much two forwards. This is not really what West Ham are doing. If you look at Jarrod Bowen in that first half, apart from when we were pressing and we were very much penning Manchester United in and we had a very, very high line, they were working very, very hard. So Jarrod Bowen was doing a lot of tracking back. I haven't looked at his average positioning yet. I'll go and have a look on Scout later. But it was very deep for a lot of the game. And even Kudus, who I thought had a good game, had his back to goal an awful lot. Andy was in our half. So we would get the ball would be given to him, but we weren't even in the attacking half. We were in our half, and he'd very much have his back to goal. And my point is that whilst technically, if you're looking at a 3-5-2, it might look like two attacking players. Maybe they are attacking players, but they're not two strikers. It would appear that maybe Niclas Füllkrug has not got a role in our away matches. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? And the more after he'd said it, the more I thought about it, the more I thought, yeah, actually, I believe that to be the case. Because it wasn't too long ago, even on this channel, we spoke about only two players being safe from being sold. Now, yes, there's a story in that Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Jarrod Bowen are not for sale. But the flip side of that story is also about, okay, whilst those two are not for sale, who is for sale? Who are the players that are for sale? And if that's pretty much everybody else, you've got to start looking at them individually, which brings us to Niclas Füllkrug, actually. But before I go any further on this video, can I just please point you into the direction of Hammers Chat's raffle. Signed Jarrod Bowen shirt, signed Jarrod Bowen Prague programme, and a third prize, highly likely to be a Jarrod Bowen captain's armband. The raffle finishes on Sunday, by the way. If that doesn't arrive in time, we'll do that in a future raffle. It will be another Prague programme. Signed programme by Jarrod Bowen. £5 per ticket. Buy 2 tickets and you get the third for free. Closes next Sunday. The link's in the description below. So go and do that. Whilst you're there, if you give us a follow, we'd very, very much appreciate it. And thank you very much. Also, if you go and look on the page now, you can see our proud recipient of our Paolo Di Canio shirt from last week's raffle is very, very nicely modelling his new shirt, which we're very, very happy with. Füllkrug is for sale. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Which I think is quite... I think that's quite a story. It's only a story now because when we've seen him play, he's played quite well. I think so anyway. But the more you look at it, the more you learn about Potter and you look at his team, there's not maximum scope. Not maximum scope for Niclas Füllkrug and his team. And even if it is, only half the time, well, Füllkrug's not going to put up with that. Füllkrug's not going to put up with only playing home games. We're going to factor something else in now, that the priority, the two biggest priorities for this summer are striker and energetic midfielder. I think we need more than that, but let's just go with that just for the sake of this argument. Right? I don't think that'll be the be-all and end-all. We're in trouble if those are the only two signings we make, and I think we need more than just one energetic midfielder. But I only bring that up because we are going to sign a striker. Of course we're going to sign a striker. Danny Ings is being released as well. We're going to sign a striker, right? So even on those games, where are the home games, maybe if you think, well, actually, when we play our home games, we're going to play a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 or whatever the case may be. There's no guarantee that Füllkrug's the striker in those games anyway. And I'll tell you what, because listening back... Well, I didn't listen to it, I read it. Reading his comments back that he wanted to achieve things at West Ham, that he was here to stay and he'd bought into the process and he was here for the long term and all that type of stuff, you still come to the conclusion that he's very much not going to put up with sitting on the bench. This is a high-profile player. So whilst he's absolutely right, he didn't join a team... At 30, he joined us at 31, but he's 30. I guess he's 32 now. He didn't join a team in his 30s to start getting a transfer and moving around. I'm sure that's true. But I'm also pretty sure that he didn't join a team in his 30s. He didn't downgrade, and I'm sorry to say this, I love West Ham. I wish we were a bigger club than Borussia Dortmund. We're not. He didn't downgrade from Borussia Dortmund to West Ham United to sit on the bench. No way, no chance, no chance. So I believe it. I do believe it. I can't say for certain that he won't be here next season. How can you? There's no way you can be that sure. But I wouldn't bet on him being here. And I think if he is still here next season, it will only be because A, we can't find the right club, or that no one comes into him at the price that we would like, or B, because any potential club are so worried about his injury record this season, and historically, that they're not willing to take that punt on him. And this is before we get into any conversations about losing money or anything like that. Depending on which newspaper you read, it either costs 23 million or 27 million pound. Somewhere in the middle, I'm sure, and you know, maybe it was 20 million with a load of stuff added on. Maybe, just maybe, none of those add-ons have been triggered yet. I wonder if one of them was, will you qualify for European football? Because teams would put that into any negotiation with West Ham. This West Ham loitering down the bottom is only really a very, very recent thing. It certainly wouldn't have been factored into, well, as I say, a lot of players joined us to play European football. Players like Kudus, players like Paqueta, players like that. So I think if you're going to do £20 million plus add-ons, you're probably not West Ham going to do 20 million and then whatever you pay us 2 million if you avoid relegation. I doubt that's there. I bet it's whatever, 2 million for qualifying for Europe, 2 million whatever when the player makes 50 appearances, and another, I don't know, make it up yourself. But I'm not, anyway, whatever happens, I don't think we're getting our money back. And that's without going into any huge amount of detail on that. And the more I look at his team, the more I look at how West Ham are playing, and there have been times when I thought Füllkrug has thrived, actually, playing under Potter. No more so than Potter's first game. And I think there is a need for, I don't really like the term, but Potter ball to have that type of player in it. He showed that with Glenn Murray, really. I'm not sure we can have a massively high-profile guy going on there. He's going to want a more mobile striker. And that guy will be our main striker. He'll play home and away. Which leaves you wondering, where does Füllkrug fit into all this? And I think I've come to the conclusion, he doesn't fit into it at all.